In recent days, the tech news space has seen a sharp increase in leaks and insider reports suggesting that Apple's next major step in the evolution of the iPhone may come as early as 2026, and that this step will be the first foldable iPhone. Importantly, this is not about a single random rumor or isolated publication, but about a whole wave of information coming simultaneously from multiple directions. Display market analysts, sources in Asian supply chains, technology media, and insiders who have previously confirmed their forecasts. All of this creates the sense that the foldable iPhone project has truly reached the stage where its existence can no longer be fully concealed. Discussions around a foldable form factor at Apple have been ongoing for nearly a decade, and throughout this time, the company has remained deliberately silent, watching as the market experimented without it. Over these years, foldable smartphones have evolved from concepts into mass-produced devices, yet they still have not become a mainstream standard. Competitor models have proven that the idea works, but they have also exposed key problems: a noticeable crease on the display, concerns about hinge durability, device thickness, and the feeling that the user constantly has to accept compromises for the sake of the form factor itself. This is precisely where Apple's logic begins. Historically, the company does not enter new categories first, but at the moment when it can radically improve the user experience and set a new quality benchmark. According to current leaks, inside Apple, the foldable iPhone has long since stopped being a laboratory experiment. Reports say that fully functional engineering prototypes exist and are undergoing testing not only within the company, but also among supply chain partners. At the same time, Apple has reportedly been exploring several formats in parallel, including a vertical flip-style design, but the primary focus is increasingly shifting toward a book-style form factor. This approach appears logical. When unfolded, the device becomes a compact tablet, and when folded, it remains a full-fledged smartphone, fitting perfectly into the strategy of bringing the iPhone and iPad closer together. The key reason Apple has waited so long to enter the foldable market is reliability. Unlike Android manufacturers who can release a product and refine it during its life cycle, Apple is unwilling to risk its reputation. According to insiders, the company has postponed internal development timelines several times, specifically because of display and folding mechanism issues. The main goal is to achieve a crease depth so minimal that it is virtually invisible during normal use. To accomplish this, Apple is reportedly developing its own stress distribution methods for the flexible panel and experimenting with new materials that better withstand prolonged mechanical strain. Special attention is being given to the hinge, not as a secondary component, but as a key part of the user experience. Leaks mention a complex multi-segment design intended to evenly distribute load across the entire fold line and prevent accelerated wear in the central zone. This is critical because the hinge remains the weak point of most foldable smartphones on the market. Apple, judging by the reports, wants the foldable iPhone to feel not like an exotic device, but like a regular iPhone that simply happens to change shape. As for size, insiders generally agree that the unfolded display diagonal will be in the range of about 7.5 to 8 inches, roughly at the level of the iPad mini. At the same time, Apple is reportedly aiming to make the device thinner than competitors in its folded state, so that the user does not feel as if they are carrying two phones stacked together in their pocket. To achieve this, the company is experimenting with segmented battery architecture, internal component layout, and a magnetic flap locking system so that the device feels solid and monolithic when closed. The software side appears no less important than the hardware. The foldable iPhone, according to rumors, will not simply be a regular iPhone with a stretched interface. Apple views it as a hybrid device capable of dynamically changing usage scenarios. In its folded state, it functions as a classic smartphone, while when unfolded, it becomes a space for multitasking, working with content, and even professional applications. This approach is directly connected to Apple's broader strategy of bringing iOS, iPadOS, and visionOS closer together, where devices stop being isolated and begin operating as a single computational system. For the foldable smartphone market, Apple's entry could become a turning point. Despite the active efforts of Samsung and other manufacturers, the segment still remains niche and accounts for only a few percent of global sales. The main problem is the lack of a universal quality standard that could convince the mass user. This is exactly where Apple is traditionally strong. If the foldable iPhone really launches in 2026, it may sharply expand the audience for this form factor because Apple's ecosystem, user loyalty, and the rapid adaptation of applications by developers can turn a niche product into a new mainstream. For Apple itself, the foldable iPhone looks like a strategic step against the backdrop of slowing growth in the classic smartphone market. It is not just a response to competitors or an attempt to catch up with Samsung, but the creation of a new growth driver that expands iPhone usage scenarios and prepares users for future form factors. The foldable iPhone becomes an intermediate link between smartphones, tablets, and AR devices, opening the way to more flexible and adaptive devices that will change shape and functionality according to the task, rather than being limited by a rigid body. A separate layer of discussion on the internet concerns what the appearance of a foldable iPhone will mean for competitors. For Samsung, which has effectively created the mass market for fold devices, this will become the most serious challenge in recent years. Bloggers and analysts openly write that Apple's launch may wipe out Samsung's current advantage in the perception of foldable smartphones, because Apple is capable of setting a new standard of quality and user experience. As a result, pressure will also intensify on other manufacturers, Huawei, Motorola, Google, and Chinese brands, which will have to not just release new models, but reconsider their entire approach to design, thickness, durability, and software. Many tech bloggers call the future foldable iPhone a moment of truth for the entire segment. Either foldable devices will become mainstream, or the market will remain niche. The question of price is generating no less discussion. At the moment, the exact cost of the device is, of course, unknown, and Apple has made no official statements. However, according to some unofficial data and analyst estimates that are actively cited in Western publications and blogs, the foldable iPhone may cost roughly between $2,000 and $2,500 at launch, most often a reference point of about $2,300 to $2,400 is mentioned, which would make it the most expensive iPhone in history. Bloggers emphasize that such a price looks logical given the cost of flexible displays, the complex hinge, and the positioning of the device as a premium hybrid of iPhone and iPad, while many note that Apple's audience is psychologically ready for a high price if the product truly offers a new level of convenience and quality. Taken together, all this indicates that the foldable iPhone is not just another flagship and not an attempt to catch up with competitors. It is a strategic product that may restart the foldable device market, expand its audience, and change the balance of power in the industry. And if the current leaks really reflect reality, then 2026 may go down in history as the moment when Apple once again did what it does best: not create a category first, but rethink it in such a way that the entire industry is forced to rewrite the rules of the game from scratch.